Well, a massive congratulations on your award. I know this isn't the reason why you do this work. However, how does it feel to have this recognition from a brand like FIFPRO?
Yeah, it feels amazing. Really proud. Gives me that encouragement and belief that what I'm doing is making a difference, and to keep going at it, really. To be recognised by a global institution, or a global association, is amazing, and it means that I'll continue doing it and push and push and push until everyone hears about suicide prevention.
Can you remember when you first found out about the award and how you felt at that time?
Yeah, I just thought, no way. Like, I'll be honest, it's one of those things where you don't really take a step back, do you, and think about what other people see of what you're doing. So yeah, it's always a lot easier to accept like footballing awards. I don't get many of them anymore, but they're a lot easier because it's just about how you've played on the pitch. This is about what you're doing and what you really care about. So it's really nice to be recognised, but it's also about what other people are doing. And at the end of the day, it's about stopping people taking their own lives if we talk about the real issue.
You're talking about what you want to do, like on the back of this, with this award. How much does this potentially amplify the message and what we're looking to do?
Yeah, hopefully it gives me an even bigger platform, really, to voice, what I think will help in suicide prevention and awareness. And FIFPRO, like I say, a global association, have already discussed about how they can help me get my message across, and also open doors for the charity and open doors for things that we want to do, and continue to do that, because I guess that's why they recognise you for what you're doing, is making a difference. For me, it's not about stopping now, it's about doing even more.
And for those that are maybe watching this, listening to this, that actually don't know too much of what has been done already, could you explain a little bit as to why you've won this award and what the work that we have done?
Yeah, so I would surmise, or I would guess it's for bringing the first ever football gold pledge, which is suicide prevention in the workplace in football, which is signed by Oxford United. And Oxford United have had the training, the staff, the players have sat through suicide awareness training, and then off the back of that, I guess it's campaigning for change within sport. We're trying to, and discussions are ongoing with big organisations, with the PFA and the EFL, to get this into more clubs. And then in the near future, going out to schools to talk to young people who are in a similar position that I was when I lost my grandfathers. But for me, it's about being a professional athlete, elite sports person who people might listen to that little bit more, rightly or wrongly, and getting kids to realise that life will be hard. There are ups and downs in life, and it's about finding the coping mechanisms and the support that's out there to make sure that we don't lose people to suicide is the reality.
I mean, you don't need to do this. Why do you feel like why do you want to do this, and why do you feel like it's important?
Yeah, it's become like a growing passion within me, really. It's over time, and at the end of the day, I lost both my granddads to suicide. So that was a long time ago now, 16, 17 years ago. But for me, I don't want families to go through what we went through. That's the reality. I don't want families to feel that grief, and that prolonged grief over a long period of time. It doesn't really go away. And how do we go about changing that? And for me, it's about looking after people's mental health right at the start. Suicide is the end result of poor mental health, in my opinion. And my grandfathers obviously felt they didn't have the support, or they didn't feel they were willing to speak. And if I can hopefully show people that talking's all right, you can open up, but you can still be a competitive athlete, then it hopefully will make a bit of difference. And
in the time since we've started this over 12 months ago, there's been a few occasions supporters have been involved, and most recently we had the match day against Derby County as well. How important is it for everybody listening to this, all the supporters of Oxford United and further, just to try and understand a little bit more as to not just what we're doing, but try and understand in themselves how they can be better with their own mental health and help to support others?
Yeah, I feel really strongly about this, and the charity and the stuff we've done with Can We Talk campaign as well, is that let's call a spade a spade. The NHS is really struggling at the moment to cope with the demand of mental health. So how do we go about trying to fix that? We can either moan about it and, you know, try and get the NHS to change, but it's a massive institution. It's going to be really hard to do. So for me, it's about peer-to-peer support. So if everybody has a little bit more compassion, a little bit more empathy, understands when their friends are struggling, when their friends need to be asked how they are, where to signpost. It's all about education, but at the end of the day, it's just checking on your mates. And we're notoriously quite bad at that, especially as British people. We tend to be a little bit more, you know, hard-nosed and not ask those questions, but just check on your mate. And if they say they're great, then fantastic. You know, you're both happy.
And for you as an athlete, as a professional footballer as well, how do you feel football is as a space to start to have more of these conversations as well?
Yeah, we were discussing it last night at the event, and football can open so many doors and bring so many people together. And for me, as a current player, it would be like almost irresponsible not to use the power of football to try and make change in the thing that I'm passionate about. Because football gets kids there, it gets adults there that wouldn't go to a mental health event necessarily, or they don't want to sit across in a really like formal environment. But if it's something to do with football, they might open up. So I think football gets a bit of bad press now and then, but football's an incredible vehicle really for bringing people together and making a difference.
We're here in Lisbon as a background at the moment where we're collected the award for this as well. You mentioned there about the next 12 months and some of the things we want to do and going into schools as well. How important is it to get into the communities that we work in and we live in?
Yeah, we've discussed this a lot, and I know you're behind the mic, but you've played a massive part in it as well. It's not about just voicing what we do with the pledge and, you know, now we're done, that's it. It was always about making a real difference in Oxfordshire, and how do we do that? And obviously we've discussed it and, you know, had loads of conversations about it, and we've both agreed and come to the point where it's about getting into the community. So how do we do that? Probably schools. The schools have got on board, haven't they? And hopefully I'll be going into, you know, 10 schools in the next year to talk to kids that are at that impressionable age. They're at an age where they may be going to university, they may be leaving school. I had that with sport when I left home at 18, 19 to go and live in Falkirk and move away from friends, family, support systems. And, you know, sport's different to education, but there's loads of things that actually you can learn from sport, the highs and lows and the ups and downs and all the cliches that we say in sport, but they're true. So yeah, it's about getting into the local community in Oxfordshire and educating, but also just being a bit real and having honest conversations. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, but I can talk about my experiences, and hopefully people will listen. And if they don't listen, then, you know, they might take little bits from it.
Just finally, what have you taken from all of this, and is there anything as well within that you would want to pass on to somebody watching this, somebody listening to this, that could just be that one little bit of advice potentially?
Yeah, really hard, kind of get asked that a little bit. And for me, if I look back on like the things I've had in my life, and, you know, I'm not this philosophical, you know, older person but I've been through quite a few experiences, and obviously 2 major events in my life were losing 2 men to suicide. But for me, it's about understanding in life there will be really hard days. Pardon me. There will be tough days, but the light at the end of the tunnel, again, another cliche, but it's true. There comes days where in sport, you look at sport, you have a really poor game, the fans think you're rubbish, you make mistakes, and then the next game you play well, they love you and it's great. It's all about understanding that in life you have real highs and lows. Without the lows, you don't get the highs. Without that real sad moments in life or down moments in life, you don't appreciate the good times. So for me, it's about acknowledging that and understanding that I am having a crap day. This has happened. But tomorrow might be a little bit brighter, the next day might be a little bit brighter, because life isn't linear. It doesn't just always get better and better. You have, you know, tough times along there, that's part of it.
Well, a massive congratulations again. I think everybody at the club and beyond that can say they're really proud of what you're doing and really proud of you of everything you've achieved. So congratulations again.
Thank you, mate.